I did it. I fucking did it. I've caught up to One Piece. I've watched each and every episode from episode 1 to episode 1037 as I'm writing the script. Just to tell you how much of a feat that is, I started watching One Piece on August 27th, and poetically, I finally caught up in October 27th.
Nice.
Now, I will say, I didn't watch One Piece all day, every day, as I do have stuff like, school, work, social life. Actually, no, it's just the first two. And during the Dressrosa arc, I was having a bit of burnout, as that arc is just too damn long. But I put on my big boy pants and I managed to finish that show. Now, I bet you're asking yourself, what is the title on about? And why are you making this video? And that's a very good question that I have no answer for. When I was like a third into the show, I had a bunch of questions and opinions on the show, and this channel was collecting dust from my last video. So I decided I wouldn't waste all 20,740 minutes of this show and make it into some content for me to watch in 10 years and think, what the fuck was I doing? And for the title, One Piece has been going on for a long time, which means it's garnered an audience that stayed with it during its lifetime. And there's a million reviews on One Piece. Fuck, there's entire channels dedicated to talking about every little thing inside of One Piece. So what does one subscriber channel Charcoal have to add to the conversation? Nothing. That's why it's completely unnecessary review on One Piece.
Spoilers ahead.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how to structure this video. I can't go episode by episode because... And I can't go by arc because... So, the best way to go is simply just say a brief intro, then make you listen to all the good parts and the bad parts. Or I'll tell you which character and arcs are good and which character and arcs are bad. So let me give you a brief intro about my opinions of One Piece. It's good. Like, really good. A very popular opinion, and also a very accurate opinion on One Piece, is that the lows of One Piece are really low. However, the highs of One Piece are really fucking high. Which makes it really hard to rate, as the bad moments are really long and drawn out, but the good moments are incredible. For example, how one of the best sagas of One Piece, the Water 7 saga, starts with the most pointless and boring arcs of all time, the Long Ring, Long Land arc. Then we go to Water 7 arc, Then we go to Water 7 arc, which is one of my favorite arcs of all time. All we have to go through Fishman Island arc, which is a pretty boring and wet fart arc. But then we get to episode 564, Back to Zero, Earnest Wishes for Luffy, which is an episode which is criminally underrated, as it gives a pretty realistic representation of environmental prejudice, and how people believe in something even though they've never experienced it, which is obviously links to racism. It's some good shit. But the problem with One Piece, you have to crawl through the mud to get the gold, and suffer for the worst torture known to man. Boring ass episodes. And I think I should address the
500-pound elephant in a room.
The pacing of One Piece is awful. Mainly the anime, I've not read the manga. There's a reason that the show has over 1,000 episodes, and to be honest, this number isn't really that good. All it does is deters normal people to bother watching it all. I'm gonna be honest with you, I bet if I knocked out all the filler and got a metaphorical scissor and cut some of the useless parts of One Piece or like shortened it, I'd take a lot of time out. I could very easily shorten One Piece to at least 750 episodes. There is so much useless shit that only purpose is to expend as much time possible. The first most obvious is flashbacks. My god, this show uses flashbacks so many times, I've basically watched the show twice. The best example I can think of is as recent as episode 984 and 985. In these two episodes, Luffy and Zoro are sneaking into Big Man Kaido's party, and all I see is Kaido's men wasting food. This enrages them as they've witnessed the poorer side of Wano. I met a kid named Otama who is poor, and she can barely eat. So obviously watching these people waste food makes them angry, that's understandable. But I don't need to see 20 flashbacks of Otama and how she's suffering. I went through that for like 6 episodes when she was introduced. I don't need to see this all again. I mean, episode 985 is named Thinking of Otama, Luffy's Furious Strike. Like, come on, at least be more subtle about it. Another technique they use is the use of reaction shots, because we need to see everyone's reaction to something. This can very comically be seen in Marineford arc. So let me set the scene. Ace is about to be executed. We see Ace's reaction, then Whitebeard's, then Luffy's. Again, these all make sense with the context of the scene. Then Whitebeard again, then this guy with a cool mustache, then 2 random ass pirates, Jinbei, then Luffy activates his Conqueror's Haki, First Sengoku, then 2 more random ass pirates, then Kuzan, then Kizaru, then Sakazuki, then Ace, then Whitebeard, then the epic Vine star, now TikTok star, King Batch. You get the point. I don't care what Pirate A and Pirate B thinks about what's going on. I just want to see this thing finish. I want Luffy to save Ace, which doesn't happen until another 3 more episodes, god damn it. Now let's combine these 2 delaying methods and create an unholy fusion dance and create some shit-paced episodes. Ace's death. I told you there's going to be some heavy spoilers. To show you the poor pacing, it took Ace 3 episodes to finally die. He was fatally attacked with a big old fiery punch in episode 482, and he's dead here. He's got a goofy hole in his chest. He's not coming back from this. And then he finally laid down and died at the end of episode 484. It took this guy 3 fucking episodes to finally die. Damn it, Cole. I'm trying to be professional there. No swearing. Now, to One Piece, this means absolutely nothing. But to a perfectly normal anime, this who has around 12 episodes, it took Ace from being punched in the chest, then finally collapsing and dying, a quarter of the time it takes for a normal show to run. Boom. Mic drop. Give me your money. Take that, Dokuid Talks Rosante. Corazon, you only got 1 episode. Boom, girl from Zoro's backstory, you died off screen, loser. Oh, well, that wasn't brief. Fuck. I said I was going to make this brief, and I've written a page worth. Where do I go from here? I guess I'll go into... The characters are the backbones of One Piece. I believe the characters are great, but I'm not telling you who my favorite character is. It's Usopp. Actually, while we're here, I think we should rank my favorite Straw Hats, so I think it's easier to talk about them. And before I rank them, I should let you know, I don't think any of the Straw Hats are bad characters, I just believe some are better than others. And I'll explain my thoughts now. In number 10, we have Jinbei. I don't think this is a controversial take, as Jinbei's only been a member for like 57 episodes, which, I mean, like, come on, scrub. The last member was Brook, and he joined for like 657 episodes. But I do think Jinbei's a good character. I think he was great during the post-war arc, when he saved Luffy. But other than that, he hasn't really had a standout moment for me, and we've seen him do the least, which means he's last. So first we had a safe take, and now we have a hot take. And this is a hot take indeed, but in 9th place, I'm going with Nico Robin. Whoa, what the fuck? Whoa, put the firearms down. Let me explain first. Do I by no means believe that Robin is a bad character? However, compared to everyone else, she's kinda weak sauce. I think it's just out the positives with you to calm you down. I really enjoyed Robin I Want to Live moment during Eunice Lobby. Her backstory was alright, I guess. It was kinda basic, but giving a motive behind how she always betrays people, and I do like how distant she was during the Sky Island saga, because she was planning on jumping ships. So yeah, she was really good during the Enos Lobby arc, and she was also really good in the Thriller Bark arc? No, she didn't really do much there. Summit War? No, she wasn't there. Fishman Saga? No, she also really didn't do much there. She kind of like fucked off for a couple episodes and came back during the big fight. Dressrosa? No, she helped someone else take down Diamante. She didn't really do anything special here. Whole Cake? No, she wasn't there. Wano? She beat Black Mario! Woo! Black Mario! And that was alright. Don't get me wrong, Robin is an insanely useful character. Like, her and Pudding are the only 2 characters who can read the poneglyphs, which is basically assuring Luffy would become the king of the pirates. But that doesn't really make a good character. Robin to me has just been a background character compared to the others, as she hasn't really had time to shine, and really hasn't done anything useful for the team, other than with the poneglyphs. Which is fine. I wish she had another arc dedicated towards her or something like that, because right now she's more of a side character compared to the other Straw Hats. I really don't get why Robin is so liked. When going into One Piece, I didn't know any of the characters except Luffy, Whitebeard, Blackbeard, and Robin, and that was due to their popularity. So I was really expecting Robin to be this incredible character, but when I watched it, she was just there, not doing much. Maybe that's why I was so disappointed with her character, but maybe I put too much expectation on her. But I'm gonna hit you with a film theory, which might explain why she's so liked. And this might be a hard to swallow pill, so stay with me here. She is so popular because she's hot. Fucking look at her. I don't see any other reason. I mean, I don't even get it. You know, Big Mom exists. Like, her introduction was so great. This mysterious, villainous character who joined the Straw Hats, to her only to become a nothing burger, a character. Like, even her design's boring as fuck nowadays. Like, if I got a penny from every time I confused Robin with a random-ass background character, I'd like 6 pennies. Sorry, I went on a rant then. I think I should move on. Robin's a fine character, but a bit more disappointing than others. At this point, rating the Straw Hats is really hard. And I've been thinking about this for a couple hours now. Because I really like these 8 characters, and choosing to put them in an order is really hard. I spent months watching these characters, so deciding between them is really tough. And you'll see with this with the rank next to this one, but in 8th place, I have to put Frankie. Like I said, I love Frankie. Let me show you the positives that I have about Frankie. I love his Japanese voice actor, Yao Kazuki. Sorry if I got that wrong. I think he gives one of the best voice performances in the show, as his voice is just so good. I love listening to it, because his voice sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Also, it didn't surprise me that he voiced Bone Clay, because I also love his voice. I just love the work he does. Also, every time I hear his music, it always makes me want to hit a super. Frankie also has a lot of good moments. Like, I think Frankie was great in Ines Lobby, Dressrosa, and Super Frankie is dope as fuck. Frankie vs. Fokaru, I think, was really good. I also really enjoyed Frankie vs. Senior Pink. Frankie as a whole is a really goofy character, which I like, and he has some really funny moments, like how he was recruited to the show because Luffy stole his underwear, which is just some goofy shit. However, I do think Frankie's introduction was pretty weak. Like in 1 of 7, Frankie was this really evil character who stole money from Usopp and like beamed to like a bloody pulp and then steals his money for himself. However, in the next arc, he's like really nice. He loves backstories, and he stole all of Usopp's money because he wanted to build a boat for the Straw Hats. Yeah, I stole your money, but I just wanted to get some wood to build your boat. And it's like, I don't know, I think it's just a huge 180 to make you like him. He's introduced as a villain to then suddenly become really morally righteous to save Robin. I don't know, I just don't think it's played well. Even Robin's villain to Straw Hats played far better than Frankie's, but to be honest, that's my main gripe with Frankie as a character. I don't think he's had much to work with during the recent episodes, but I'm glad the next arc, Egghead, fucking hell, I need a drink. I also think pre-time skip appearance was far better than post-time skip appearance. But other than that, Frankie's a really good character for me. I just love him. I just don't think he's had much time to shine compared to the other characters, which makes him an 8 for me. Now, remember when I said, and you'll see with this with the rank next to this one. Yeah, that's because 6th and 7th is Zoro and Sanji. The reason they're lower than you'd expect is I'm a simple man. I prefer incredible character writing over badassery, I guess. Now, before I explain, I'm not putting these characters neck and neck due to the civil war that's going between these characters. Those guys have already jumped off a cliff for me disrespecting their favorite goddess. But I can't really decide which I like more over the time period of the show. For example, I'd argue Zoro was far more entertaining during the pre-time skip of One Piece than Sanji. However, I think Sanji is far more entertaining than Zoro. A lot better than Sanji's pre-time skip. Let me explain. I'll start with Sanji. During the pre-time skip, I didn't really feel much for Sanji. I mean, he was just a cook who could kick really well for some reason. And also could set his feet on fire, which made me at the time think, what is the point of Ace where everyone could just set their limbs on fire any moments at the time? Ooh, yeah, let me get back to you on that. Sanji fills the role of the crew pervert, you know, the funny trope where there's a really perverted character. The most famous are like being Master Roshi, Meliodas, Kuro-sensei, and Mineta. And to me, this is all Sanji was. He was the strong pervert, which he kept for the whole pre-time skip. But then Oda decided to introduce a funnier pervert with Brook, and then I lost interest in Sanji. I mean, the guy had some good moments during Skype here and Through a Bark, but other than that, Sanji didn't really do much for me. Until Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island did some well-deserved improvement to Sanji's character. My homeboy not only got one tragic backstory, but he got 2. And they explained why he could magically produce fire out of his legs, because he's a cyborg! Yeah, fuck off, Frankie. We also got something called improvement in character development, as Sanji chose his crew over his life with Pudding. Overall, this arc was incredible for making Sanji more interesting and likable, which also made him way more entertaining to watch in 102. Now, Zoro is the opposite. I'm gonna be real with you, I have no idea how to talk about Zoro, or where to place him. My opinion of Zoro has flopped so many times. Like, there are moments where Zoro is really entertaining, and there's moments when he's just really boring. I enjoyed Zoro pre-time skip more than post-time skip. Kinda. Like, post-time skip kinda makes Zoro just a meatbag with a sword, instead of, like, an interesting written character. Which, now I think about it, is basically Zoro in a nutshell. His actions literally spoke louder than his words, as in a fight scene, Zoro could be really likable, but when he's not fighting or doing anything else, he's kinda mid. Here, for example, Zoro's backstory, which in my opinion is the weakest of the Straw Hats, and definitely the least mentioned. That's if we're counting Yasop as a part of Usopp's backstory. I mean, his friend tripped down the stairs and fucking died, and now he wants to be a swordsman. That's not as cool as having your grandpa throw you into the wild every night to train you, and then meeting an emperor of the sea as he sacrifices his arm for your life. Oh yeah, then your brother is dead. Your father abandoning you and your dying mother to be a pirate, and then you becoming a brave warrior of the sea, just like your father. Your mother dying in front of you to protect your life, and then you have to join the killer's crew to protect your town. Your family abandoning you and you're calling you useless, and your father wishing for you not to be a son. Then you become a pirate, and only sink and be stuck in an island with little food for a while as your adopted father gives you all of his food. Being bullied for no reason, for being different than other rangers. Then you have your adopted father get killed for no reason as he's risked your life over a lie. Your entire island being burned down over nothing. Your old mentor being shot and you being shunned out. Having to watch your entire crew die in front of your eyes, and Jinbei's 3 episodes long backstory. But I still like Zoro very much. I have no idea where I want the guy. I like him more than Frankie, but I don't like him more than the 5th place pick. And I like him the exact same as Sanji. So he's here. Zoro has some grand moments when he's showing his loyalty to Luffy, or him and Luffy are just a great combination. But other than that, Zoro is fine. However, I do like the Zoro's racist jokes. They are very funny. Now I've treaded through that minefield, let's go to number 5. Nami. I'm gonna be real with you, I did not expect to like Nami as much as I did. I personally believe that I would like Robin and dislike Nami, but surprisingly it was vice versa. And to be honest, from the little I read and those weird YouTube shorts full of clips of One Piece, Nami came across as the damsel in distress, an overly sexualized character whose only purpose is to attract male audiences. Which, well, now I list it, that's basically who she is, but goddamn does she take that and run with it. Nami's entire appearance is just for fan service, but goddamn can she be funny or just overall entertaining. Like, her and Usopp are just a perfect combination of a comedic duo, and I don't even find shonen comedy funny, but goddamn do Usopp and Nami make a great combo. Nami by herself is pretty decent, but combination with other characters like Usopp, like I said before, Nami and Luffy make a really good sibling bond. I hope it stays that way. And Nami and Brook also make a pretty funny duo. But overall, Nami is great. Watching Along Park made me really do a 180 of my impression of Nami, as even though she acts like the basic ass fucking cliche damsel in distress, it comes across more like a friend helping out another friend, which warmed my cold heart. Let me get a list out now, because we're in the top 5, so here we go. Nami is great in Arlong Park, Skypiea, Water 7, Zhao, Whole Cake, and I really enjoyed her in the 3rd act of Wano. Overall, way to go, making a seemingly uninteresting character entertaining. 10 points to One Piece. Alright, in number 4, I'm going... I don't know how, but someone finally showed the others how it's done. They created a cute, entertaining, and interesting mascot character. You know what I'm talking about, those characters who exist either for selling merch or to give the main protagonist an animal sidekick, like Happy from Fairy Tail, Pikachu from the Pokemon anime, and Annoying Pig from 7 Deadly Sins. But what do these characters have in common? They don't serve any purpose than to sell merch. All of that pig from 7 Deadly Sins, who they're just annoying as fuck.
Hey, you know perfectly well there's no pets allowed in here. Having an animal in a dining establishment is disgusting.
But Chopper is nothing like the 3. Dare I say, Chopper is adorable as fuck. Pre-timeskip Chopper holds a grand place in my empty heart. I just love everything about Chopper. He's cute, he's smart, and he's bloody strong. Man, calling Chopper a part of the weakling trio is an insult, as Chopper could easily defeat like half the Straw Hats with his Monster Point. Oh, and don't get me started on the Monster Point. I love pre-timeskip Monster Point, as it was like truly intimidating. The voice, the design, the fucking glowing blue eyes, man. The design is so simple but intimidating. I love it. I'm not a guy who likes to collect figures, but if you show me a figure of Chopper's Monster Point, I'll fucking cream, man. Chopper's also really good during Skypiea, Enos Lobby, Sabadi, Archipelago, Punk Hazard, and the 3rd act of Wano. I forgot to mention he's also pretty funny with his blind optimism and how gullible he is. Overall, amazing character. Now we're going into the top 3 with my 3rd favourite character in the Straw Hats, being Brook. It makes sense Brook has ice powers because this motherfucker cold as hell. I love Brook, everything to his character design, to his comedy. I don't find shonen shows always funny. However, some of Brook's jokes really did make me laugh. Brook to me is just a better Sanji. They're both perverted characters. They both have an elemental ability for some reason, and they both were great in Whole Cake Island. And man, Brook's backstory is so sad. He watched his entire crew die, and this is like a mother or a friend falling down the stairs. This is watching your entire crew, basically your family, start dropping like flies. And you know what? It's pretty sad. Brook is just a likable character. He's funny, he's honourable, and he's goofy as fuck. Brook is a character, it's hard to say what I love about him, but it's hard to say what I don't. Now, Brook hasn't really shined much than the others, but Brook during Whole Cake Island was incredible. He managed to get 3 poneglyphs, survive a fight with Big Mom all by himself, and then basically defeat Big Mom by throwing her into the water and taking Zeus for Nami. Like, real Chad. Brook is a brilliant character, 10 out of 10. Alright, in second place, I've already spoiled what third place is, so I guess you can figure it out, but in second place is Luffy. Now, for the previous character, I've briefly skipped over my likes and dislikes. However, past this point, I have a lot to say, and this is going to be long. To call Luffy the king of shonen protagonists is a very fair title, as Luffy is the perfect shonen protagonist. Luffy embraces the power of friendship, as he will conquer countries for people just because they gave him food. Luffy is the main character and we spend most of the time with him. The guy's basically in every episode and that's fine because Luffy is an insanely well written character. Luffy is the opposite of how pirates really were. Luffy represents freedom and hope as he goes to save multiple kingdoms from a life of imprisonment. Dressrosa, Arabasta, Wano, the list goes on and on. Luffy represents change as every place and every person Luffy goes and meets has a drastic change. We see this as early on as the first arc as we see the very first antagonist, Helmpo? After being defeated by Luffy, he joins the Marines. Any person Luffy challenges, he eventually defeats, except from like Aokiji and like Sagazaki. But you get the point. Luffy is shown to be a perfect leader. He is willing to go out of his way for a crew member like Sanji. And he's loud, he's charismatic, which is perfect for leadership. Now, pre-timeskip Luffy was a weird one for me because I liked the guy, but I felt like he kept winning too much. It started to feel like plot armor. Then, the breaking point was during Impel Down to me. Luffy managed to escape from Magellan. Like, how? My guy was poisoned so bad he was on the brink of death. Like, Magellan is OP as fuck. I think this should be a Logia fruit because basically, other than that, the fact that his body is behind the poison, you cannot touch his body. And like, you can barely touch his body anyway. But then Marineford happened, and we really saw how weak Luffy was compared to the rest of the world. This really humanized Luffy for me, as we finally saw Luffy face a real problem that he couldn't defeat with a smile on his face. Ace's death was the straw that broke the camel's back for Luffy. Luffy was no longer this untouchable figure in the viewer's eyes, as he was more realistic. I mean, the entire Summit War saga was the worst time for Luffy, as he lost his crew. He may have survived against Magellan, but he still took a massive L. And he couldn't save Ace. But hey, you already know this. It's hard to talk about Luffy as everything has already been said. Luffy is great, he's strong, he's funny, and he is what others should strive to be. Now let's move on, because this can go on forever. Number 1, my favourite Straw Hat and character within One Piece is Usopp. Usopp is a character I did not expect to like as much as I did. Usopp is a character where it's either a love or hate situation, where you think Usopp is a great member of the Straw Hats, an incredibly well written character, or you're a fucking idiot. Usopp is the little man of the Straw Hats, and with like Nami, they're the only normal humans on the crew, which I like, which like I said before, makes them an incredibly funny duo. For example, when they're going against God and Nell, they're both asking each other to save them, and it's really funny. And if I'm going to be entirely honest, I believe most of Usopp's fights are far more entertaining than Luffy's fights. While Luffy's fights are way better animated and last shit longer, Usopp's fights are far funnier. Instead of actually fighting the opponent, he traumatizes opponents to get the upper hand, like seen with Miss Merry Christmas, Perona, and Sugar. Fuck, I still think the 10-ton hammer gang is still funny as shit. Now, Usopp's character is the small man in the big world, where everyone else around him is stronger than he is, which is the conflict for one of my favourite moments and episodes that's important to Usopp's character. A little side tangent before we go into that, there's something I'd like to talk about that people who say they hate Usopp because he's weak. Like, first, I mean, we're going against a 23-foot man of pure muscle with a spiked club in his hand like a caveman. There'd be so much piss everywhere from me, it'd be like a flash flood. But being the little goblin myself, hiding away in these communities, looking at all the shit takes, I've seen a comparison which I think is an incredible source of knowledge and should explain to your dense minds. The comparison here is, and cringe warning, awful takes, it's the Crunchyroll comment section, so you know, fucking blind yourself. Random guy, I'm currently binging One Piece, and I've finished this episode. Yeah, it definitely hit different when it harder than Usopp for many reasons. Usopp was always undermining Luffy with his Captain Usopp BS and his imaginary pirate crew of his... of HS? Of HS. The circumstances are definitely different. Look at Sanji's hand as being forced to leave the crew, while Usopp left on his own. Sanji is always the number 3 guy after Luffy and Zoro, etc, etc. I never took Usopp seriously. This episode really had me in my feelings. Alright, let's dissect this, and sorry random human for choosing you. Usopp's always undermining Luffy with his Captain Usopp BS. Now, this is pretty complicated, but do not worry, I'm studying film, so I can explain this to you. And I'll try and make it sound as simple as possible. Alright, you ready? Listen. It's called a gag. You know when you were kids and you were playing pretend? So in my case, it'd be me and my 2 other friends. We would pretend we're in the Pokemon show, and I would be Ash, and my other 2 friends would be Misty and Brock. Now, kids sometimes want to be their favourite members. So one of my friends said, Cole, I want to be Ash this time. Well, because he's the main character. So I responded to him by smashing his face in, asserting my dominance. This is basically what's going on here. It's a joke, a goof. We know by this line, Usopp actually believes Luffy will be the king of the pirates. And I don't think anyone expects the sniper of the ship to become the king of the pirates, because the captain will get that luxury. That's why Gold Roger is the king and Rayleigh isn't. So he's definitely given up on that captain dream. Now the next part of the quote is pretty weird. The circumstances are different. Yes, they are. Look, Sanji's hand is being forced to leave the crew while Usopp left on his own. Correct. So why is Sanji better? Sanji's was just nobler. Let me explain. You are supposed to like Sanji and you're not supposed to like Usopp, which makes Usopp's more interesting and depressing. Let's compare the 2 scenes. Here's some long context for you. Luffy, Nami and Usopp went to Water 7 to cash in the gold that they managed to find. They get 300 million. In 3 cases. Nami's holding 100 million while Usopp is holding 200 million. Usopp gets captured by the Frankie family, losing all the money he was holding. Nami finds him again with his pride broken as he's ashamed to go back to the stronger crew members to tell them he just got mugged. So, in an act of desperation, Usopp goes to the Frankie family warehouse and tries to regain their money. However, he gets beaten up by the Frankie family again, more violently this time, and he's completely humiliated himself, as the 4 stronger crew members comes to save him. At this point, Usopp's pride has been smashed, as not only did he lose again, but his stronger friends had to bail him out. So at this point, Usopp has lost all self-confidence with himself, and sees himself as the failure. Oh, and then Luffy decides, without asking Usopp, that the Mary, the ship that he loves so much, yeah, they're gonna bail it, which caused Luffy versus Usopp. As Usopp feels betrayed, they would do this without his knowledge, and argues with Luffy. And Luffy, in the heat of the moment, shouts, maybe Usopp should leave the crew if he's unhappy. Usopp takes this as Luffy saying Usopp isn't needed because he's weak. Remember, his pride has been shattered, so he believes that he's a burden to the rest of the crew. So Usopp leaves, and before he leaves, he challenges Luffy to a battle for the Mary. After a really depressing and a really good fight, Luffy manages to beat Usopp and gives the Mary to him anyway, and the 2 friends go their separate ways. Okay, you still with me? Okay, you still with me? Sanji's turn now. Capone Beige comes to Sanji telling him that he's being forced to marry a member of the Charlotte family. After a back and forth, Sanji agrees to go, but Beige has to let Nami, Chopper and Brook leave. So, Sanji is then taken to Whole Cake Island. After hearing this, Luffy chases after him and the before mentioned people. Germa threatens to kill Sanji's dad, and Sanji has to marry Charlotte Pudding for the sake of his family and his crew. So in order to do this, he has to ignore his friends and pretend he doesn't know them for their safety. You got all that? Well, let's fucking analyze this shit. With Luffy versus Sanji, both parties have fair points. Luffy's doing it to protect his father and his friends, while Luffy's doing it all to protect Sanji. Both parties are morally correct, which makes the situation depressing. That's why we go back to the epic comment. It says, this episode had me in my feelings. It's sad to see both people are correct, so how do you decide who's right? If they're both correct, who's the right person? However, Usopp versus Luffy is far more heartbreaking. I think it's fair judgment to say that Usopp is Luffy's best friend. They're both the same age, they both have father figures with the red-haired pirates, and they both love goofing around with one another. I mean, Usopp was originally designed to be the Straw Hat's co-captain instead of the sniper. Now, some can make an argument that Zoro is, but I think he's designed to be more Luffy's co-captain than his best friend, and his right-hand man. Even if you don't agree that they're best friends, you know Usopp and Luffy are very close, because they're normally the dumb and dumber of the ship. So watching them fight over something as petty as a boat is really sad, but also really realistic. And something more realistic about this argument is you can clearly see who's in the wrong. Usopp. Usopp's pride has been destroyed. He's now self-conscious as he's ever been, which is something Luffy won't not feel until a Marineford. Usopp challenging Luffy over this something as trivial as a boat is childish, however, it's realistic given the context. This is why Usopp is the best character for me. He's real. He's incredibly well written and he's funny. To me, the perfect main character of a show has to be a comedic character who can switch off and have serious, well-written moments, which is something Luffy and Usopp both have. However, I just think Usopp is my overall preferred character. Holy shit, I knew this was going to be longer than my woohoo video, but fucking hell, that script only took like 3 pages, and I'm currently on my 8th. So let's have a breather. Let's watch this funny frog moment. Alright, and let's start with other characters. Now I have other characters I like, but I couldn't find a place to put them, so I'm gonna slap them here. Fujitora, he's cute. Don Quixote's Rosante, we don't deserve him. Law, he's pretty cool. Kuma, he's also pretty cool. Now another top 5. Before you can say this is a glorified top 10 list. Top 5 villains of One Piece. One Piece has some of the greatest and most memorable villains, and I'm going to explain my favourite villains in a short time, so I don't end my life over editing this video. A quick honourable mention is Magellan. Like I said before, this guy's an incredible devil fruit, and if he had some haki, I think he'd have the power of an emperor. Number 5, Crocodile. Crocodile is a cold-hearted villain with small touches of humanity. His devil fruit is really cool, and I mean, come on, the guy's a hook for a hand. He's got drip. Also, I'm a firm believer that Crocodile's a woman who got Ivankov to gender bend him.
I know what you dread.
Number 4 is Enel. Enel is a villain to me which I still don't believe Luffy should have beaten. Enel is insanely quick, powerful, and his devil fruit is a Logia. And Enel has observation haki. Now, people nowadays would struggle with Enel, so the fact that Luffy was able to beat him is still unbelievable to me. I hope he comes back.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me. Here too much raining.
Number 3 is Katakuri. Katakuri is an interesting villain as he has very human flaws. Katakuri is always at a pedestal, so he can't show his weaknesses to anyone other than a worthy opponent, Luffy. However, I think we need to see more of him. Number 2 is Doflamingo. You know the trope of the spoiled rich kid who basically is all talk more than anything? That trope is all over anime, and this trope can be seen in this show with the Celestial Dragons. Now what if, and hear me out here, that character is actually really strong? That's Doflamingo. A previous Celestial Dragon turned pirate, Doflamingo is an agent of pure chaos, and who just wants to conquer the world. And I love it. Oh, no way, look, it's the infamous pirate Blackbeard. Look, oh my god, look, it's Blackbeard. And finally, number 1, Blackbeard. Being named after one of the most famous pirates gives you a lot of expectations, and does Teach fulfill these expectations?
Nice.
Blackbeard is ruthless, and I love it. I love everything around Blackbeard. His introduction was great. How do you introduce the big bad of your show to the main character? Hey, yo, this guy's Pog. Fucking brilliant. This show is a work of art. Also, another thing I would like to add is later on in this scene we hear Blackbeard's speech.
Girls kiss other girls, and no one bats an eye.
And for some reason, people think Luffy knows Blackbeard is a threat, which I don't know. I think you're giving this guy way too much credit, as there is nothing here telling Luffy that Blackbeard is a threat. People are saying stuff like, oh, he waits until Blackbeard's back is turned before walking away, sensing that he's a threat to his crew. And come on, I don't see Luffy doing any of this sensing thing. I mean, Haki wasn't even introduced into the show yet. How would Luffy know if he did? And even if he did, Luffy would have said, like, afterwards, Scoob, I think this guy's dangerous, and we should stay away from him. That was a shit impression. I mean, when Luffy realized who Blackbeard really was, he only just recognized it. So I think this little film theory is a bit of a stretch. But yeah, what an incredible scene. I recommend you watch it for yourself, as it really shows how Blackbeard and Luffy are two sides of the same coin. They both have the same goals, the same dreams, they both want to be pirates, and they both want a crew. However, they are very different. Luffy is there for the journey, while Blackbeard is there for the destination. Luffy sees his crew as a family and they all have a bond together, while Blackbeard and his crew only see each other as a means to an end. Luffy has the sun god powers, whilst Blackbeard has the dark powers, basically clashing the two as opposites. The Blackbeard pirates are a direct parallel to the Straw Hats, with each Straw Hat having a Blackbeard doppelganger, I guess. And I bet I can predict which character fights one another. Luffy with Blackbeard, Zoro with Shiryu, Nami with Lafitte, Usopp with Vanaga, Sanji with Jesus Burgers, Chopper with Dr. Q, Robin with Katarina Devon, and the rest are just speculations, are just complete guesses, but Sanji and Wolf with Frankie, because Super Frankie, Brook with Vasco Shot, because I don't see Vasco Shot fighting Jinbei, and Avalo Pizarro fighting Jinbei. Lock it in, that's my guesses. But like I said, I love everything about Blackbeard, from his introduction to his ideology to his design. Blackbeard starts off by looking like a random fat pirate that you'll see in the background of people's crews. He's quite underwhelming, and to call this guy the big bad would be a bit weird. But then when we see him in Impel Down, he's more dripped out. He looks a lot more like a pirate. And finally, Blackbeard's introduction is one of the best antagonist introduction I've seen in a while. It's not him like killing a country or like showing off his strength. It's just a simple monologue. However, that monologue doesn't make him sound like a villain. It just makes Blackbeard sound like someone who has a dream, which makes him terrifying. As it shows that anyone with a dream become a menace. Good fucking character. Now let me discuss a character that I really don't like, and that'll be it for characters. Sakazuki. Sakazuki is the leader of the Marines and one of the most confusing characters of all time. So Sakazuki is a believer of absolute justice, which is the ends justify the means ideology, all for the sake of justice. But I'm going to be honest with you, this belief really contradicts itself half the time, as justice is never served and it's just dumb as fuck. A good example is Sakazuki's fight with Fujitora about covering up Doflamingo's defeat by Luffy. Sakazuki believes that the Marines should cover up and take the credit like they did with Crocodile, while Fujitora believes that Luffy should have the credit as he actually did the deed. Hey, Sakazuki, where is the justice here? It's not like taking Luffy's credit would capture him, or make you any closer to capturing. I mean, you did the same thing with Crocodile, and that didn't get you any closer to capturing him. So all you're doing here is just taking someone else's credit. Absolutely no justice here. Half the time, the absolute justice ideology just seems like a plot point behind a mustache-twirling villain, as that's basically what Sakazuki is. He's a sociopath. He doesn't even show empathy. He'll just kill anyone who's in front of him for justice, even though there's no justice being served if you're just killing people. Who made this guy the Fleet Admiral? Why? He's supposed to be a good guy. Woo! No more characters. Now we're going to talk about... how should I do this? From first to 1-0, or should I go least favorite to favorite? I think I'll do the latter. And to make this interesting, we're going to give a medal to the biggest goat of the arc, in my opinion. Except Luffy, because he would take every medal. Woo! Long Ring, Long Land Island. An arc which I'm still convinced is completely filler. I mean, you could skip this one, and you still wouldn't miss anything. Alright, let's see what the wiki says you'll miss. Aokiji and the strength of the admirals are introduced. Well, I imagine you could figure that out later. I don't think people have trouble sleeping at night knowing I put this at the bottom. Aokiji, you can have this because Aokiji is cool. Syrup Island, another really obvious one, but Syrup Island was okay. I mean, compared to everything else, it's really shit. But hey, we're introduced to Usopp. And we get the first ship, the Going Merry, that's a W. And I might be an idiot for this, and I can't be bothered to watch this arc again, but you know the antagonist of this arc, Captain Kuro, for being the second smartest pirate in the East Blue behind Ben Beckman, a man who found its way to infuse haki into his bullets, so pretty smart. I don't understand his plan. Like, he befriended Kaya, earned her trust for a few years, then to hypnotize her, and then kill her. I'm pretty sure you didn't need to build trust with her if you were just going to hypnotize her and kill her. I mean, you could have easily skipped the years you patiently waited and hypnotized her, like on day one. I mean, it would make more sense if you just built up trust to convince her to put you in a will and then kill her. But you have a hypnotist, so yeah. Sure, Django, you tried his best. Little Garden. I mean, it's an alright arc, nothing too special. I like the part where Zoro tried to cut his limbs off. Sanji, here you go. Reverie! I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember much about this arc. It's like filler arc to see how everyone else is doing in the world. I didn't really care, so... Sabo, sure. Orange Town. Once again, it was fine. There were some funny moments. And we met Buggy with a unique ability. That's a cute good boy. 26. Whiskey Peak. Once again, it was okay. I like the Zoro's racist jokes, which made it. So you know what? Zoro, you can take the W. This was great, as we got to see our favourite pirate crew again. Except for the fact that it was an episode apart, so we already saw them like a minute ago. Kuma, take this. Ooh, I can explain my distaste for this one. Thriller Bark. It was too slow for my liking. There were some good moments like Brooke's backstory, Usopp's fight, and the Straw Hat docking was pretty funny. Oh, and there was that scene where Zoro was pretty good. But the whole arc was really slow. And it didn't really help that Crunchyroll only had one opening for this entire arc, and the opening was boring as shit. It really ruined my viewing experience, but yeah. Gekko Moria didn't really feel like a good antagonist, and the only other villain I remember is Perona, simply for the fact with Usopp. Overall, kinda mid. Oh yeah, sure, Usopp and Frankie can share this W, they were pretty good. Fishman Island. I have the same gripes with Thriller Bark, but Fishman Island for me has the interesting episode about Hordy Jones. A little embarrassing moment for me, I thought Hordy Jones' name was like Hordy Jones, like H-O-R, Will of D, and then Jones. And I was like, whoa, that sounds like it's going to be interesting. Because, you know, the Will of D is mysterious. And everyone with the Will of D is like a really important character. Well, all except Saul. As I'm editing this, Cole would regret this statement. And would like to issue an apology to all my Jaguar de Sol fans out there. But then I finally used like my eyes and realized I was being dumb. So... it makes no sense. I watched it subtitled, so how can I not see it as Hordy Jones? Yeah, Fishman Island and Thriller Bark, I had the same opinion of it. And the opening was boring as fuck. Here, Nami, you can take the medal for forgiving Jinbei very easily. That's some character development right there. I think Sanji's first backstory is pretty cool, and everything else was okay. It was pretty quick arc, nothing too boring, so here you go Mihawk for coming in at the last second and fucking it for everyone. And does anyone else think it was wild that Mihawk was introduced this early on? Like, this guy was a warlord and strong enough to take down Shanks, in my opinion. Fucking wild. Reverse Mountain. I don't really remember much about this arc, so I googled it and remember it's the one with Laboon. So it's already better than the other one, so attaboy, take your medal, king. Drum Island. It introduced Chopper, there were some wacky shenanigans, and it made me really like Luffy, as he's carrying both Sanji and Nami up the mountain. So that's some good friendship. Chopper, catch. My god, he must be mad. Putting Dressrosa at 19? What the fuck, he's gone insane. Nope, Dressrosa, one of the most boring arcs made to man. Don't get me wrong, there were some insanely good moments. Like, let me list them. Frankie versus Senior Pink. Senior Pink's backstory. Law's backstory. Don Quintox Rosante. Fujitora wished he didn't blind himself so he could see Luffy. God Usopp. Usopp versus Sugar. Bartholomew. Sabo guesses Ace's Devil Fruit. Don Quintox Doflamingo and Gear 4. That's about it. And I bet you're like, Cole, you've said so much. Why is it still this low? Well, my friend, first, this arc has 117 episodes. And most of it is full of fights that have been way too drawn out, reaction shots, flashbacks. God, if I see another Rebecca backstory again, I'm gonna fucking cry. Rebecca is one of the most boring female princess characters, which are like common in each saga. Why is her armor like this? This won't protect shit. Why the fuck does Doflamingo have 3 health bars? Stay down, bro. I want to progress in the story. I hate this arc because it's really good and really bad. God, Usopp, here you go. Logtown, a pretty decent mini arc, which is a break from Arlong Park. Here you go, Dragon. I completely forgot about you for a bit. Take this. Post Lobby was pretty cool, as we managed to watch Ace and Blackbeard fight, and we got Frankie! Blackbeard and Frankie can take this W. Sabadi was pretty good, as Luffy finally punched the most punchable face in the world. We were introduced to the worst generation, and there was that great scene with Kuma and the Straw Hats. Let me briefly skim over this. It seemed like Kuma was attacking the Straw Hats, but what we know now is that he was actually working for the Revolutionary Army. We know that he was helping Luffy and the Straw Hats to show them that they weren't ready for the New World yet, and they should train to get him stronger. And he was also saving them from Kizaru, who they couldn't beat in a million years. Well done, Kuma, take this. We're like halfway there now, and the next is Punk Hazard. I'm gonna be honest, Dressrosa and Punk Hazard really had me dread One Piece. They both took so long. That saga has 172 episodes. That's nearly as many episodes as Hunter x Hunter or Black Clover. And I'll be real, I was very tired. But overall, I enjoyed Punk Hazard far more than Dressrosa. I still think that Punk Hazard was very drawn out, but overall, very decent arc. I thought Caesar Clown and Law was pretty cool, so they get a medal. At 14, we have Romance Dawn, the very first arc of One Piece. And there isn't really anything right or wrong with this arc. We were introduced to Zoro, Luffy, Nami, and Kobe. And overall, a very decent mini arc. Not really a strong start. I didn't hate it. I was fine with it. So, Zoro. Zao was overall an alright arc with no real major flaws. I like the reveal that Raizo was okay. However, the whole arc, I don't know the Minx. I don't know, the Minx kind of confused me because the Chopper speaking was a real what the fuck moment. And in order for him to speak, he had a devil fruit, but there was animals who could speak anyway, so what do I know? Sanji gets the medal. 12, we have Amazon Lily. Once again, another decent arc. We were introduced to Bo Hancock, which, come on, it's just waifu bait. Stay strong, boys! No, not November! But overall, a decently funny and entertaining arc. I really want to give it to Luffy, but I can't, so sure, Bo Hancock. Next we have Jaya, and overall I didn't enjoy Jaya. The only part I enjoyed was with Blackbeard, which I enjoyed a lot, so, and that bit with Bellamy, I guess. But overall, Blackbeard carried this arc, so Blackbeard gets the MVP. Top 10, baby! So at number 10 we have Arabasta. I enjoyed a lot about Arabasta. I like the idea of countries using powder to fight over the rainwater, basically stealing water from each other. Crocodile is a really good antagonist. He's just a chaotic evil, and I love it. Robin's introduction, Ace's introduction. I really like Luffy in this arc, and the final moment where they had their arms up was pretty cool. Other than that, I didn't really like Vivi. I thought she was kind of cringe. But I did like the idea of everyone fighting for no reason when there was no enemy. A little side note, everyone says they love Bone Clay, but this guy basically killed thousands pretending to be the king. So yeah, I miss you, Bo Clay. Oh yeah, Bon Clay is a brilliant character. Take the medal. The best number 9, was Impel Down. I really enjoyed Impel Down, but my viewing experience was kinda boring as it was starting to drag once Luffy had been poisoned. And Marineford was next, and I was excited for that. But overall, really good arc. Really underrated antagonist, Magellan. I know I mentioned this 3 times now, but Magellan was really OP. And even though we didn't get much of him, I really like him. I hope this guy comes back. Becomes a vice admiral or something. I just want to see the guy. Oh, and spoiler alert, don't get me started with Bone Clay's sacrifice, because that shit hit deep. I spent the rest of the day sat down on my bed because shit, that sucks, man. But then I found out he survived and all the emotion was thrown out the window. But I pretend that he still died. I still get that emotion again. Both Magellan and Bone Clay get this medal. In 8th, we have Skypiea, another fantastic arc with another fantastic villain in the form of Enel. I thought Chopper was great with Zoro. I think Sanji did something finally interesting. Once again, Luffy was great, and that stupid Luffy face was here, what I saw everywhere, and it's not funny. Overall, great arc. Here you go, Sanji and Enel, split it. Not much to say about Post, but it was really solid follow-up to Marineford. Watching Luffy's despair was hard to watch, especially from being so positive throughout the series. Watching Ace, Luffy, and Sabo as kids was also really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Overall, a good cooldown arc, as we did just watch the biggest arcs to influence the rest of the show. Overall, good arc. Jinbei takes it for being able to calm Luffy down. Now, this isn't really a fair assessment because Wano is still going on for anime watchers. But so far, I think Wano is a 6 for me. I really like the art style change, but I really do miss the old 2000s look it had prior. I really enjoyed watching the backstory of Odin, Roger, and Whitebeard, and when we finally got to see the old generation go at it. I also really enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought it was pretty good. But once again, the pacing is really slow, and they're doing something they've done all post-time skip, where they just make the fight scenes last longer. But yeah, can't wait for Gear 5 Luffy. I can't really give a medal to anyone because it's not really ended. So for the time being, I'm going to give it to Kenjiro, because God, my guy was dedicated. He was playing the long game. Ding ding ding, it's the top 5, and with number 5 we got Arlong Park. Shit, what a jump in time. From the latest to one of the earliest. I love Arlong Park, and to be honest, it was really Arlong Park that hooked me onto One Piece, and Luffy as a character. From the previous arc, I was really bored and uninterested, but honestly, Arlong Park really got me interested. So that's some extra points from me. I'll start with the negatives first, as I do have a lot of positives to say. Arlong was kind of forgettable antagonist. Other than that, ooh, fuck me, man. This arc hit hard. Luffy the entire arc. Nami asking Luffy to help her, and Luffy doing it even though he doesn't know her backstory, which shows his loyalty to his friends. The plot twist that Nami's actually good, but she was just forced to join Arlong. Usopp somehow beating the Chew in the goofiest way possible, but it was funny as fuck. Luffy fighting Arlong. Luffy destroying Arlong Park because it caused Nami a lot of pain. Fuck the man, this arc was brilliant. If it wasn't for that rule that Luffy can't take a medal because he's great, he'd probably take all of them, so I'm going to have to give this to Nami. Next is Whole Cake Island, another character focused arc where at the time it was focused on Sanji. I kind of explained a bit of what I like about this arc when I was explaining Usopp, but overall I thought the pacing of the first 2 acts were really good. Well, I ignore that forest part, that was a bit weird. It's only when we got the 3rd act that the pacing kind of slowed down. I swear to God, Katakuri is beating the shit out of Luffy for so long, I'm surprised he's not dead. I'm surprised Luffy even won that. But the final bit of the fight where the stuff actually was happening was really good. And the medal goes to Sanji. Brook? God damn it, Brook, you can stop stealing Sanji's spotlight. First you became the funnier perv and then you take over his arc. You selfish bastard. But yeah, Brook was great in this arc for reasons I mentioned, his little character thing. In 3rd place, we have Enos Lobby, another 1 character focused arc. Are you starting to see the pattern? Where this time it's focused on Robin, which is great, as even when she was added into the crew, we didn't really get much of a backstory. This was really the one time she was in the spotlight, and then maybe other than Zhao. We have Chopper's monster farm, which is incredible and holds a special place in my heart. We have that face-off of Cypher Pollens the Straw Hats have. We have some great power-ups like Luffy's gears. Sanji can set his leg on fire for some reason. And Usopp gets Sogekin's Kabuto. I don't feel like I'm giving this arc justice because it was really good. It's one of those things where you have to watch to enjoy, but I do have one issue with it, and that's with the main antagonist, Rob Lucy. I just don't feel anything from him. Everyone rates him as one of the best villains in One Piece, however, I just don't see that. I mean, his Devil Fruit doesn't feel that intimidating. We've just fought against 2 Logias. Overall, he's okay. His ideals are very similar to Sakazuki, where it's just evil, where he believes in dark justice, where anyone who disagrees with the world government is a threat. So it's basically just absolute justice with less steps. Overall, a really mid-villain, and the medal goes to Sogeking. Number 2 is Marineford. I don't really want to go into detail with this arc, as it's been dissected to death, but it's just a great arc, and you should watch it. And I'm giving the medal to Garp. Garp's story is really sad, and I think he deserves it. Finally, fucking finally, number 1, my favorite arc in One Piece is Water 7. And to be honest, it's mainly for the reasons I mentioned before when I was talking about Usopp. But overall, this arc was hype as fuck. It wasn't really the most action-y arc out there, but my god was it entertaining, character-wise. Like I said, Luffy vs Usopp was really heartbreaking, and there was some hype as fuck moments, like the Straw Hats destroying the Frankie family, that one scene where Luffy and Zoro are running against the water, Sanji going on a side quest, fucking Sogeking. is introduced, and the reveal that Cyberpol is assassinating Iceberg was its own workers. Overall, a great arc, and you should watch it. And I'm giving the final medal to Usopp. If you're curious about the amount of medals everyone got, well, McGillim, Enel, and Law all only got half medals. Well, I guess I shouldn't have bought these. Like Elbros, the irony here is I actually really like these three. Aokiji, Django, Sabo, Chow Chow, Frankie, Mihawk, Laboon, Chopper, Dragon, Caesar Clown, Bo Hancock, Jinbei, Kanjuro, Brook, Sogi King, and Garp all got one medal, which is fine. I like all these characters. Now, Bone Clay and Blackbeard got 1.5 medals each, which is great because I love these two. Zoro, Nami, and Kuma got 2 medals for their loyalty, their development, and being great like Kuma. Now with 2.5 medals, there's Sanji, which settles the debate on who's better. And finally, with no bias at all, the strongest Straw Hat, a literal god in human form, God Usopp. As a final thing, as a treat for making you watch this shit, you can have my most controversial opinion yet. Currently, I do not like Shanks. I mean, we met the guy on day 1 and we haven't seen him do much. He stopped Marineford, I mean, that's cool and all, but he didn't fight or show his monster cock to the world or anything like that. Like, come on, man, do something already. Other than that, Shanks, we haven't really seen you do much. Well, my opinion might change, as I'm going to watch One Piece Red soon, and it's called Red, and Shanks is in the poster, so high chance we gotta get to see some girthy action. Woo! Holy shit. My final thoughts on One Piece. Overall, it's hard to show... fucking hell, I'm tired. I've been recording for nearly 2 hours now. Overall, it's hard to call this show bad. Like I said at the beginning, the heights of One Piece hit hard, while the lows are low. The pacing is really slow, especially the pre-time skip, and the characters are really good. One Piece is like the Breaking Bad of anime, where everyone tells you to watch it, says it's the best thing ever. Then you want to watch it with the hopes of being different, only to join the rest of us sheep, which I'm a part of. One Piece is ending soon with the final saga coming out, and I'll be there watching it, but I imagine there'll be another 500 episodes. They'll probably end it on 1,500 episodes or chapters or something like that. You know, just to milk this shit dry. Don't take down my video, Toei. I have 1 subscriber.